Worried about your job? Here's what to do. We're going to go into it. And by the way, you're not the only one, my friends. You're not. I'm telling you, man, I get emails all the time from this stuff. It's nuts. And it's going to get worse. I'll prove it to you here in just a second. Well, I can't prove a future event, but here's why you should be concerned. Anyway, so this is a blog post I posted yesterday, which I sent to my email subscribers. So if you want to be on my email list, just sign up in the doobly dook down below. I don't send that many emails. I just don't. I mean, on occasion I'll get a hair up my and start sending a couple, but I don't send that many. If you don't want to be on it, just don't subscribe. That's fine. I don't care. I literally don't care. I lost, probably every time I send an email, I probably lose 10 people subscribe. Not probably 10, probably 5. That's fine. If they don't want, I literally don't care. I don't want to cover you or have you in my email thing if you don't want to be on there. So just unsubscribe. It's no big deal. But if you like to be kept via an email, just sign up for the Doobly Dook. And secondly, don't forget, every Friday at 4 p.m. on Locals Only, we go live. Every Friday at 4 p.m. All right, so keep that in mind. We did the live stream yesterday. We just talked all kinds of stuff. It's fun, man. So sign up for Locals in the doobly dook down below as well. All right, so we're going to start this by showing you my man. Hold on just a second. My man Jeff sent me this. This is, I tell you, Jeff gives me a plethora of good content to talk about. So good on you, Jeff. I get a lot of good stuff from a lot of you guys, by the way. Some of it I use in videos, some I don't, but I like it. So keep sending it to me. If you don't hear back from me, don't be offended or anything. Or just, I get a lot of emails, man. But and a lot of times I have them in my backlog, if you will. But this one is pretty good. So Jeff sent this to me yesterday. So here's U.S. retail sales. All right, you can see it's down here, right there, nominal. That means not adjusted for inflation, nominal. So we're negative 1.4%. If we look at my blog post, literally on the same thing that Jeff sent, when retail sales go negative, a recession usually follows. And we're going back to 1950s, dude. I mean, look at this. You can't. So this is the retail sales going negative after the recession, retail sales going negative before the recession, retails before the recession, look at that. When the retail sales go negative, recession follows. And we know what happened. 2007, 8, 9, markets got crunched. 2001, and 2002, market got crunched. Was that 1991? Markets didn't do that badly in 1991. But your job might have done it, and that's what led to Clinton being elected, because they said it's the worst economy since the Great Depression. We knew what happened here, 73 to 74, right there. The 80s were not very good. The beginning of the late 70s, 80s were not very good. I can't remember how bad it was here. I just forgot. 67 was bad, and I think 69 was bad or something like that. Anyway, so this is what concerns me most. Look at this, dude. A 20% decline in retail sales because the first Q1 of 2020. To go from 20%, you have to go up 25% to break even. All right, so just remember that. The mathematics are, if you lose 50% of value, you have to gain 100% just to get back to where you were. If you lose 10%, you got to gain 11% to get back to where you were. Hope that makes sense. So if you lose 20% retail sales, we have to go up 25% just to get back to breaking even. So here we lost 20%. Retail sales had to go up by 25% to break even, and yet they went up by 45%. I'm telling you, what that means is we pulled a lot of consumption forward. This is why debt is deflationary. You're pulling consumption forward. You're consuming it now, which means you won't consume in the future because the cash flow stops. I can't stress this enough. Anyway, so let's go back to this. So here's retail sales, largest since 2020 in the negative. All right, well, 2020 was pretty big. Here's that's going to be Q4 2018, I'm sure. In 2018, we didn't go into recession, but we had a bear market in Q4 2018. Here's obviously the great financial recession right here, and here's 2001 and 2. So here we are. All right, now that doesn't look that bad. You're like, well, Josh, look, we have a lot of retail sales year over year, nominal change. That's no big deal. But my furry friends, look at this. Here's when you factor in inflation. Not only is it the lowest since April 2020, but it's by far and away right here. It's even lower than it was right there, just about lower than it was right here. Now, this is only the Q1 essentially of 2023, and we know what happened in the first month of January of 2023. The freaking retail sales were actually pretty good. So This is only 2 months of negative retail sales, and yet we're already down here. That's kind of frightening, man. That's kind of frightening. I'm just telling you. All right, so what happens if things go south? Well, we can go into it. Right here. Now, if this doesn't impact you, that's great. That's great. Maybe you're on a pension. Maybe you're retired already. Maybe you got a stable job. My man Marky F emailed me, goes, civil service, they're hiring. So maybe you're in a government job and this doesn't impact you. Well, it could on your TSP, that's for sure. So keep watching. So remember, I'm self-employed. I can't lay myself off, but I certainly could be laid off by people not using my services, not watching the videos, not buying my book. So let me share with you what I'm doing to prepare. Because be prepared. Whether Boy Scouts, I did Boy Scouts like a day. I hated it. Be prepared. It's a lesson that must be shared. Because I think a hard economic landing is coming. I really do. You can't raise rates that much, that fast, without some negative results. And yes, I don't think the Fed is in control of things the way a lot of people think, just like with CO2. I don't think the Fed can just go there and turn this button, whatever, don't talk about this valve, turn a valve, and all of a sudden the economy goes gangbusters. They turn the valve to the left, it goes, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So we're going to go righty-tighty, tighten the interest rates, the economy shrinks, lefty-loosey, the economy grows. It doesn't work like that. Same with CO2. It's nuts. So say your income stops coming in. Guess what, amigos? You still have bills to pay. I still have a mortgage. You still got mortgage. You still got to put food on the table. You still got to pay for health insurance. And don't forget, if you lose your job, you're now on Cobra. On Cobra, you got to pay for health insurance. I'm telling you, man, if you lose your job, things change rapidly. Where does the money come in to pay the bills? Cash. You are now being rewarded for cash, thank the good Lord, and we're getting 4.5% in the Schwab money market last I checked. See, I actually think Jerome Powell is doing something pretty based here, if you will. I think he's raising the interest rates because he had to. He said we can't keep these rates so low forever. I can only imagine the insurance companies in particular sitting there saying, dude, we are not in a world, we're in a world of hurt if these rates stay low because we have all these liabilities, i.e. insurance products that are contingent on higher rates. I literally believe that to be true. And Powell said, I got it. And the government's like, no, we don't want higher rates because we can't afford the debt. And Powell's like, the government can do whatever they want to do. The insurance companies can't. I'm telling you right now, if insurance goes kaput, the whole thing's done. People don't recognize how strong insurance companies, how resilient they were in the Great Depression. Banks went over it left and right, but insurance companies didn't. If insurance companies go south, the whole thing's just we're all cooked. Our goose is cooked. And I really think that's a lot what happened. Why they had to raise rates so high. They said, look, dude, you got to do something, and they can do it on the auspices of beating inflation because interest rates are insurance companies. They need higher rates, dude. I mean, there's more to that. Don't get me wrong. I think they were doing it to fight inflation because I think Paul Volcker beat inflation. But I think Jerome Powell said, "Look, we've got to do something. We can't keep these rates this low for this long. Things are going to fall apart." How much cash should you have? Because remember, we need cash to pay the bills. Well, you need enough to cover expenditures until the income turns back on. So the question you have to answer is, how long is that going to take? 3 months? 6 months? A year? I don't know. But I'd err on the side of caution. There won't be a massive bailout like what happened in 2020. Just get cash in people's hands again. So again, just look. Why do the retail sales? Oh, not that one. I'll jump up here. Why did the retail sales jump up like that? Because the government was bailing people out. They're like, here's money. Take our money. That's like, but you don't have any money. It doesn't matter. Just take it. So where does the cash come from? Well, if you're fully invested, as I was. So my man Marky S, and I'm not going to say his last name, actually kind of ticked me off. He wrote me a kind of nasty email. He said, I can't believe you're getting out of the market. I was like, dude, I'm not fully out of the market. And then he wrote me a somewhat apologetic email. I was like, that was kind of weird, man. It's like, dude, go home, you're drunk. I mean, why just fire off an email? It's kind of nasty. It's weird to me. And then after he read this thing, I guess he kind of apologized. But I was like, dude, what? I'm not fully, I'm fully not out of the market. I still got stocks. B, I still have a couple bonds, so that the bonds are at market. But anyway, it's like, well, it was weird. He's like, well, I said, well, maybe you have a secure income stream. I don't. I'm self-employed. Or if you're laid off, you don't have a secure income stream. So I was fully in the market with no cash liquidity. And I'm comfortable. So let's see. Well, if you're fully invested in the market with no cash liquidity, you're going to need to just think this through. Are you fully comfortable taking the risk of using your investment holdings to cover your expenses while you search for new income? I cannot stress this enough. You need income to pay the bills. Income is going to be from either literally going out for labor, where you're getting paid for your labor, or from your portfolio. That's it. Your savings, your portfolio. We're saying the synonymously. If the portfolio is your source of income and the portfolio drops, well, guess what? You just lost a significant source of income. After 2007 and 9, I said never again. I've talked many times how the bottom fell out in that Great Recession. It fell out everywhere all at once. 57% declines in stocks, huge real estate losses, banks reneging on previously established home lines of credit. I'm telling you, I can't tell you how many people I had at USA when I was working as a financial planner there. USA says we're not extending any more debt to you at all. We're pulling back our lines. They didn't say they didn't call the loan back. They said we're not going to give you any more line. This is it. I must have had that happen 30 times. I had it happen once. It was crazy. People said, well, I had 50,000, no more, because the loan to value has dropped now. And the price of your house is now not 100,000, it's 80,000 bucks. So now you're at 120 loan to value. We can't do that. So we're not going to extend any more credit. And you're like, credit card interest rates increasing to 18%, even though for me, I had a Chase card and I thought I had 0% fixed for the life of the loan. What a fool I was for not reading the small print. And don't forget, finding work back then wasn't easy. So it was me and this lady named Margaret were the last of our cohorts that USA paid to move them to come down to San Antonio. And if USA didn't pay to move us, I would never have been able to take the job, man. We moved from Dayton, Virginia to San Antonio because USA actually bought our house and sold it, essentially. They didn't really buy it, but there's a program. And me and Margaret were the last people that could do that. I remember other people, we'd had like basically no newbies coming in for another year or so. It was crazy. And I was like, LIFO, last in, first out. I'm telling you, dude, it's scary. In preparation for the slowdown, I parked a decent chunk of my portfolio into the money market to make sure if things go south, I have a resource to cover me that won't be down 57%. In 2007, I thought I could take the risk of leaving everything in equities. In 2009, I realized I couldn't. A lesson I learned too late because I got smoked. Things are different now, of course. I have tons of equity in my home, more investable assets too, and very little consumer debt. So that's good. But guess what? Our spending has increased relative to our income. I just got a chat with my wife. I said, yeah, if I only make this. She goes, that's it? I said, dude, 10 years ago, that would have been a lot of money. Now she's like, not just her, I'm just picking on her, but it's like, it's true. It's like, if I only make this, and her first thing is, I said, it's like, you spend to the level of your income. Everybody does this, man. And so when I'm talking to my better half, I'm like, if I only make this, and knowing 10 years ago, this right here was significantly higher than where we were 10 years ago, but significantly lower where we are now. That's a problem. That's a problem. You get accustomed to a certain lifestyle, dude. So our spending has increased to our income. Obviously, if things go south, we'll have to cut back. We're already starting to do this in preparation. Like, for instance, I pay $2,400 a month in health insurance. I mean, if we're going to have to knock that out, just go Medi-Share. And that's what I talked about. It's like, what do we actually use that health insurance? We don't go to the doctor. You know what I'm saying? I mean, prescription drugs are already expensive anyway. So what do we actually use that health insurance for? I mean, for catastrophic stuff, well, you go on Obamacare. Now, I make too much money this year to get subsidies on Obamacare. But maybe next year, absolutely. Remember, insurance is supposed to be catastrophic stuff. Don't go to the doctor because of hangnail, for heaven's sake. And you can cut back, dude. And Medi-Share is a great option. Now I'm not all in cash. I do have some individual stocks and a big position, a Federal Home Loan Bank bond with a 6% coupon. I'll also add some more dividend equities. I like dividend stocks. I just do. I'll probably just buy dividend stocks, frankly, as opposed to anything else. I've been thinking about this a lot. Just buy the stock and be done with it. I'm heavier now than I've ever been in cash. Getting 4.5% makes it a whole lot easier to be in cash, though. What if you though need to draw down your retirement portfolio to fund your expenses while waiting for your income to pick back up? Is that a retirement killer? No. This is what I want to say. Hear me out. So basically I'm trying to say, look, it's okay to have to spend down your retirement portfolio. It sucks, but if you have to do it, you have to do it. Give yourself a flippin' break. It's okay. You're gonna be okay. I mean, I don't understand these people like, oh, you spend down your retirement. Like this guy, Mark S. He's like, you're missing out on compounded returns. Yes, because I have to survive the day, Mark S. I have to survive today. And I'm actually not missing out. I'm still getting 4.5% cash, which that wasn't happening just 2 years ago, a year ago. So now you're still getting 4.5%. Will that stay like that forever? No. It's going to probably go down by the third quarter of this year. But I'll take it while I can get it, dudes, until the thing kicks back in. Do people not remember how bad the 1980s were? From 1980 to 1982? Significant recession, dudes. Horrible. Here we have actually jobs you can go to. Back then there were no jobs. Now how long those jobs in terms of, you can easily find employment, I don't know. But back in the 1980s, oh my goodness, you had to spend down your retirement portfolio. Yeah, because you had to make ends meet. I just don't get why people say this is the thing, the stocks for the long run. They're like, oh my goodness, stocks for the long run, compounding returns. Look, you were here, you could be here. Here you are today if you just leave the money in there. I'm like, yeah, 1980, 2010, that's great. But guess what? Between 1980 and 2010, maybe you got laid off in 1982, 1991, 2000, all through the aughts. Maybe you got laid off there. So what do? This is a real world we're dealing with. Give yourself a flipping break, man. It just drives me up the wall, these people, with their freaking insanity. I'm like, dude, I don't get it. The world I live in ain't the world some of these guys live in. I don't know what it is. I live in the reality. And the reality is not stocks for the long run. The reality is day by day by day, I have to fight to make income to keep food on the table. And I know you do too. So all these guys say, well, I never had to do. Okay, great. You got lucky. Or maybe I got bad luck, or you got bad luck. I don't know. People get laid off all the time. Just because you didn't get laid off, freaking kudos to you. But instead of indicting people for doing what they have to do to make ends meet today, maybe a little bit more empathy there, Mark. Damn, freaking hate that crap. All right, so let's say you're married and your Social Security benefit at full retirement age is $3,000 a month. Your spouse stayed home to raise the kids. So her, how dare I assume as a woman, right? How dare I? Benefit's going to be half yours. That's $4,500 a month at your full retirement age at 67. $54,000 a year. That's not going to be enough, Josh. And I say, well, don't tell these people. I got a link to the video I did on that. Their spending is way lower than what you think, and yet the vast majority are reporting they're content in retirement. In fact, as I say in that video, they're increasing, I should have said, discretionary, not non-discretionary. They're discretionary spending on things like charitable giving and travel. You can't do those things if you're running out of money. If you're single, simply take away the spousal benefit and you still have the baseline of $3,000 a month. Will that be enough to get you a new Mercedes-Benz? Nope. Will it put food on the table? Yep. And I say, yes, sir, because Marine Corps is getting ready to saying yes, sir, and yes, ma'am, because they don't want to misgender people. Now, it's highly unlikely you're spending down your retirement portfolio, but just say you did. You have equity in your home, no? Of course you do. That's why I'm so adamant on considering how reverse mortgages can help your retirement. You can see the interview I did with my man Donnie Graves the other day. Maybe reverse mortgage isn't for you. That's fine. I'm just showing you there are plenty of options to make ends meet in the retirement without having 7 figures. If this are not true, how on the good Lord's green earth, again, more CO2 equals more green, would so many people continually report that they are happy in retirement? Something stinks in Denmark with all the fear being batted around about retirement inadequacy. Where is the evidence? And all this people say, everyone had a pension back in the old days. And no, federal civil service retirement fund, very few people had a pension. And people say, well, private employers did. No, they did not, dude. Stop it. Very few people over the history of our lives have had pensions. Probably a third at most, maybe 40% at most. I'll do another video, beware of the pension trap. Back then, we didn't have Social Security either. So the vast majority didn't have pensions, and the vast majority didn't have Social Security. And yet, here we are with Social Security. If you think politicians via a blue ribbon committee are going to take away your Social Security, I've got nothing. Except from oceanfront property in Arizona to sell you. I just ask you, when has a government ever taken anything back after it's been used for so long? The answer is, of course, never. The government grows by adding things, it shrinks by taking away things, and the government wants to see itself grow. As much as I'd love to see the government shrink, it's not going to happen. And I've come to make peace with that. Will taxes be raised to cover the deficits in Social Security? Probably. Right? Payroll tax. We should all pay more in payroll tax. Go crawl on that. Anyway, so then I tell you about these two books you need to read. Spend at the End by Larry Kolikoff and Frederick Bettis' book, The Essential Retirement Guide. So just relax. And then I give you some words of wisdom here. This is not the Jerusalem of Jeremiah's time. If God so deems it could be, would your portfolio save you from that anyway? If I'd had a lady on my locals channel say, should I go to gold? And some guy piped me and said, look, you go to gold, but that's not going to save you in a freaking market. I mean, if everything going to hell in a handbasket, gold isn't, I mean, it's good to have it. Yes, you should have some gold. But in of itself, gold isn't going to be the reprieve. You see what I'm saying? I mean, you still need, yes, you should have some gold. But should you have everything in gold? No, come on. I mean, my goodness, if everything fell to, that, you're going to have to find food, and having some gold is going to be a helpful thing for sure. But that's stuff of the road stuff. And I don't expect that at all. I expect it to be, we're having a collapse where we aren't going to be the number one game in town anymore. And that's a collapse of pretty significant proportions, but not like Jerusalem in Jeremiah's time or Jerusalem 70 AD, for heaven's sake. It's just going to be a declining quality of life, dude. And I don't know what's going to happen, but the next couple of years, we're certainly going to see something like that, in my opinion. Anyway, despair not. We know how the story ends anyway. There are trying times to come, and that's a fact. But be prepared is never a bad strategy. If it turns out your preps weren't necessary, what's the downside? The opportunity cost of more growth in your portfolio? You're still getting 4.5% in the money market. Anyway, you got to look. If you're looking at being laid off, you got to say, how much cash do I have to tap into to offset that? And if it's all in equities, I think that's a huge mistake, dude. And this goes back to the 3 to 6 month time frame. I tell you, 3 to 6 months, that might be on the short end. I don't know, but 6 months at the minimum, in my opinion. Unless you're if you're an electrician, you can find work 2 seconds flat. But if you're some cubicle guy, or I don't know what else, I don't know what else would be. A mortgage processor, it's gonna be tight. Be prepared. Love your thoughts. We'll see you.